tried making this video several times, but I got interrupted a lot, so let's get started. Today, I saw Ant-Man and the Wasp. And this video is going to be a review on the Ant-Man and the Wasp film. But first, before I get into this video, I'd like to discuss that I made a previous video discussing a lot of Marvel films, and you can check it out on this channel. This channel is called Storyboard Ed, by the way. The video is called Let's Discuss Infinity War. I titled it that because that was the latest film out at the time. And I went into a lot of different things. Here's a little clip of me discussing the Ant-Man and the Wasp segment. I'd like to talk about upcoming Marvel films that look really interesting. The first one I want to talk about is Ant-Man and Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp, which comes out in 2018. And it's very soon that it'll come out. And this movie is basically, I think the story takes place before Infinity Wars. And that's about all I know. And the trailer looks very interesting with showing the duo of Ant-Man and the Wasp really working together, and I'm hoping that it's... Yeah, I was a little bit hyped for it. I walked into the theater, and I sat in a very silent room. There was only me and two other people in that whole theater. And I went to the 11 o'clock showing, so maybe I missed the whole crowd, because I went, I guess, pretty early. And, yeah. I think when I was leaving, quite a few more people were coming in, so maybe the 11:50 one that they had going will be a lot bigger. But seeing it was a different experience than the normal theater experience. That when I go to a theater, it's usually crowded with people, or there's quite a bit more of an audience to react with. And that's one thing I like about movie theaters. When I go to one, I tend to get to see the audience's reaction to it and actually feel it, and maybe make up my mind on whether the film is good or bad based on that a little bit in some ways. But I didn't really have that with this, so it was really just me focusing on the story a lot more and going into detail on really just what it felt like seeing it, and going off of that, really, I personally felt. So let's get discussing the Ant-Man and the Wasp. First things first, when I walked in, I was given this digital download of a comic. You can get that for free. I don't really read a lot of comics, but I do appreciate the artwork that goes into them. Being an artist myself, I really like to I like to draw, and I appreciate people who have a really great talent for drawing. I'm not the greatest artist, I tell you that much, but I do like to draw. And I like to do videos about drawing too. Which is kind of what I did in the prior video I kind of just mentioned. I did kind of a drawing thing for that video. Discussing it. Check it out. Please. I guess that's what I'm saying. Ant-Man and the Wasp is an okay sequel. And really just that. It's okay. I've seen quite a few Marvel movies at this point. Pretty much all the Marvel movies at this point. And I see sometimes I see like a little bit of a reuse of some things in the movies that they do. And one thing I saw in this movie that I've seen in just pretty much a lot of other movies, non-Marvel, is the whole, you did something wrong, and now you need to try to reconnect with us because you did that wrong, you betrayed us in some way, and now you gotta re-earn our trust kind of story in there. And the way Ant-Man and Wasp used it was okay. But I saw more of a potential for it. Like, they could have done it a little bit better in putting it together in that element. Like, maybe in the film, start with where it left off with Civil War, and talk about, kind of show a little bit of that. I saw that in Homecoming, Peter Parker, he had some footage of Civil War that he was using in it, and then he was like doing kind of like a vlog in the opening, and he was kind of moving from Civil War pretty quickly, but he was working it in that discussion, and he was kind of showing it, and he was kind of moving on to the next step while showing the video, and you got to see, okay, this is where we left off, and now we're going to go follow that. But in this one, it's like, okay, it's like a month later, maybe a year later, and maybe quite a while later, pretty much. And basically, as I was watching it, I was saying to myself, well, it would have been interesting to see the disconnect in the opening, like maybe have like a little bit where you got to see how the fallout happened, and then you have that title sequence where it says this amount of time later, and you see what he's been doing with that time. But instead, you cut to present day, and you get a brief discussion of what he did was wrong, and a brief discussion of what he did in general. But what you don't see is what he did, you know? And I would have liked to have seen that in the film. But I did enjoy the opening and how creative it was. It had him and his Ant-Man and his daughter going through a creative role-playing scenario of, I think, like a robbery of some sort. And I thought that was interesting and very creative how it was put together. Another piece of footage that I thought was like really interesting in the opening was really just showing how things were miniaturized, and then, you know, like huge, you know, I like that, and they used a lot of that in this film. I thought it might be something they'd use, you know, a little bit here, a little bit there, but they used it a lot, and I thought that was a cool effect. Maybe a little bit overused in the film, shrinking and growing things. But I did find that an interesting visual. But then again, in the first Ant-Man, they did a lot of that too, so. And one thing they focused on more in this film is the humor. And I have a huge appreciation for humor whenever I see it in a film. And like in Deadpool, the first Deadpool and the second Deadpool I saw recently. Briefly wanted to mention Deadpool 2 here. I saw that movie, thought it was hilarious and very well put together. But I do gotta say it was... I sat through two audiences. One for the first one, when I went, I think, all the way back in 2014 to see the first Deadpool film, and it was non-stop laughs. But with this one, it had laughs, of course, a lot of laughs, but it was more story-driven, this Deadpool 2 one, and it wasn't all about the comedy. It wasn't as much about the comedy as the first one seemed to be. But I loved the story a lot, and I really got to give the film a lot of credit for meeting my expectations and then some. Now, some people complain because it was more story-driven that it lacked a lot, but I don't think so at all. In fact, I think it could be better than the first on some levels. Maybe in general, you know, just because ever since I saw the film about a couple of months ago, because the Ant-Man and the Wasp came out like a couple of months after seeing Deadpool 2. I've been thinking about Deadpool 2 a lot, you know, like the scenes that I liked and stuff like that. That film stuck with me. Though this film, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, didn't really necessarily stick with me. I can't really even remember the bad person's name. You know, like the bad guy's name and stuff like that. I can't even remember them. They're just so vague characters. But I do like the fact that they had more depth, because they weren't just bad guys. They were bad guys with a reason to be bad guys, like a really good one. But in my opinion, it's just it wasn't as well put together, in my opinion, the bad guys and the reasoning. The reasoning is much. Maybe a little bit more focus on that, I thought would be good. Like, I liked that there was a brief kind of flashback kind of going into things. But I just think they could have gone a little bit more into detail, showing a little bit more on that. But that was an okay. And the overused thing that I mentioned just prior now, of the you did something wrong and you got to fix it to reconnect with us kind of trope that I've seen in so many movies. It worked out okay, and I do gotta give them credit for that. It worked out pretty okay. And they do reconnect. And the Ant-Man has now a partner called the Wasp. I thought that was neat. I thought that was pretty cool. I was like, oh, they can go places with that. And then I saw the ending, and I gotta just say that the ending, like the end credits ending that they gave it, was okay. All of a sudden, Ant-Man is in this area, like he goes into smaller universes. I guess that's the word to say. And then all of a sudden his team just, it's gone, turns into dust. And they just connected. They just reconnected. This whole film was about reconnecting a family. That family got reconnected, only for them in the end credits to be gone. And that kind of sucked to see, because it's like the briefest reunion. You're like, oh, this is gonna be a happy family. No, it's gone so quickly. But I don't know. It feels kind of. I think about how the post-credits scene was about that. I think that it's just kind of a bummer. Like a big bummer. But it does tie in with Infinity War pretty good. So, I mean, that part there. And that's all I can say. Is they fit it in okay. I do want to go into detail about that scene at that post-credit sequence there. Seeing them all turn to dust. Well, basically, Ant-Man has to go into small universes, but they made it portable, and he goes right in, and he thinks that he can gather something, and he does gather it, but he can't bring it out because just as his team is about to bring him out, they all turn to dust and vanish. And basically, this is all connected to Infinity War, which I already discussed in another video. I'm not going to go too into detail on this, but Thanos, who's a bad guy, he comes and he just clears out people for the purpose of bettering society. That's his whole point. And it sucks. It sucks that he had to kill off so many good characters in Infinity War. And now you see more of what he did. Of the good characters he took out by his ruthlessness. And there's going to be a part 2, and I think part 2 is going to have a lot of Ant-Man in it. I think it's going to I'm just making a guess. I haven't read anything about it, but in part 2 I'm guessing somewhere along the lines it'll be the same setting as in the end credits, where he's in the same place, but you see him get pulled out by the remaining Avengers by luck, or by some random person who presses a button, and he gets out and he says, oh, I've been in there for, thank gosh I'm out of here, I've been in here for like months or quite a while. And then he's made a main focus, as well as some other characters you didn't see in Infinity War. Yes, I'm talking about Hawkeye. Didn't really see him in Infinity War, but I'm pretty sure I will see him in Infinity War Part 2. He's probably going to have a huge part in that. I'm pretty sure he's going to be in that one. And so when talking about this film, it's kind of bittersweet. Every bit of this film is bittersweet. It's a good film. I give it a lot of credit for making a good sequel. I mean, it's tough for movies to make okay sequels. And this film is good. Well put together. Very humorous, and I appreciate humor in anything I see. I did enjoy it. I thought it was very okay. I think if I were to rate it, I'd give it like a, I don't know, 7 out of 10. Like, it's okay, you know. It's not average, like in 5 out of 10, but it's like, it's a little bit better than that. But it's not like a 10 out of 10 like I play some movies at. It's fun. It was fun to see it, and it was an enjoyable film. Honestly, it's worth a buy, I think. You know, I think anybody who watches all the Marvel Universe movies, they'll pick it up anyway, so. Like me. Go figure. But I really did enjoy it. I really did think it was okay. And, yeah, I do think that the post-credits, the scene with the family fading out, that kind of made me go, oh, yeah, because the whole movie was all about that. And then when it finally happens, you get that scene. It's almost like, damn. You know? But, yeah. I say, if it's still in the theaters and I persuaded you to watch it, yeah, go see it. You know, it's really nice. Or pick it up and watch it. It's an okay sequel. If you like the first Ant-Man movie, I'm pretty sure you'll like this film. So I enjoyed it. So have a great day. This was me talking about the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Just my honest first impressions, because I just got home from watching it in the theater, and I'm just kind of taking it all in. If this kind of comes out as all over the place, I hope you're able to get something from it. But yeah, have a good day. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos. I enjoy making videos.